We did our project on race relations in America and Germany during the Great Depression. The stock market crash of 1929 marked the beginning of the Great Depression and led to economic turmoil throughout the globe. Unemployment rates skyrocketed, companies closed, taxes increased, and many countries stopped giving out loans. Between 1928 and 1932, the people of the United States and the people of Germany were looking for who to blame and who could save them. The President of the United States, Herbert Hoover, tried to revive the economy by encouraging volunteerism and loaning billions of dollars to large corporations. These policies ultimately proved futile, and the economy took a turn for the worse. Pre-existing negative feelings towards blacks were exacerbated as the Depression began, and because of this, no group was hit harder than the blacks. Racism was evident in both government policy and the actions of individuals. President Hoover was harshly criticized by his black contemporaries. W.E.B. Du Bois said that no one in his day had helped disenfranchisement and race hatred more than Herbert Hoover. In Mississippi, marriage between whites and blacks was outlawed, and segregation of schools was mandated. Many states already had laws similar to those or created them. Whites called for all blacks to be fired until there was a job for every white man. Blacks who remained employed faced intimidation and violence. Whites who lost their jobs often took their anger out on the blacks. On August 7th of 1930, after being fired from his job, Claude Dieter and his girlfriend Mary falsely accused 3 black boys of rape. 2 of the boys were lynched by a crowd of angry whites. This event is just one example of the many times that blacks were punished for the bad economic conditions. Many Germans blamed the Weimar Republic for economic struggles. They found a new leader in Adolf Hitler, who exploited the Weimar Republic's weakness to take control. One of the reasons that Hitler was so popular with the Germans was because he said that the Depression was not the fault of the Germans, but the fault of the non-Aryans. Jews were depicted as lowly people who tarnished German purity. It was believed that the Jews were stealing jobs and industries from hard-working German people and were at the heart of all major financial scandals. Jews were the inferior group and were disregarded, often referred to as monsters. Germans also thought that the Jews were fighting against German freedom. Jewish people were thought to have ruined the lives of Germans as they did not follow German morals and customs. Between 1933 and 1938, economic strife continued to plague both the American and German people, which intensified discrimination and prejudice between races. When Franklin Roosevelt became president, he promised Americans a New Deal. Because of the fragile economic situation, Roosevelt shied away from issues regarding race. He could not risk upsetting members of Congress and losing votes on bills vital to saving the economy. In a statement, Roosevelt said, "I did not choose the tools with which I must work. Had I been permitted to choose them, I would have selected quite different ones. But I've got to get legislation passed by Congress to save America." The delicate state of the economy took precedent over all other issues, including race relations. Because of this, conditions for blacks continued to worsen. In the Crisis magazine, W.E.B. Du Bois said, "It was to be expected that with the deepening economic crisis involved in the lowering of standards of living, the economic struggle would take the form of racial conflicts." Du Bois goes even further to say that the task of America was to solve its racial problem by solving its economic problems. Nazi ideology that endorsed eugenics and promised a better life with the extermination of the Jews was welcomed by the Germans. Germans no longer regarded Judaism as a religion, and instead regarded Jews as a separate race. German teachers began teaching schoolchildren to believe in Aryan superiority. In 1933, a law was passed that prevented any Jew from holding a position in government and revoked the citizenship of all Jewish people. In 1935, it became illegal for any Aryan German to marry a Jew. Germans believed it was their moral duty to purge Europe of racially inferior people. The Nuremberg race laws chart shows the way that races were classified. America and Germany were both greatly impacted by the Great Depression. The Depression created a strain on race relations in both of the countries. The way that the countries responded to the Great Depression and handled race relations has both similarities and differences. Both governments failed to protect the minorities living in their countries, but to different degrees. FDR and Hoover ignored the race issue, while Hitler encouraged and facilitated the extermination of non-Aryans.